The bright lights and bells of gaming machines. Perhaps you've seen them popping up lately at your local convenience store. Gambling is illegal in the Show Me state other than casinos, but a legal loophole is allowing those machines to go unchecked.
Chief investigative reporter Lauren Traeger is going in depth tonight as the legal battle over these games boils and what they're costing you.
The grass and his tractor. That's the only green Ronald Foreman sees these days.
I had a $150,000 cash in October, and by December, I was broke.
It's no different than any other addiction. It's like a drug for him.
Ron's longtime girlfriend, Vicki Young, a while back started getting suspicious.
He would come up with any excuse in the world to run down the road, and he'd hit the gas station real quick.
As his behavior changed, he wasn't picking up the phone or disappearing altogether. So she tracked him through GPS.
He would hit gas stations 15, 20 times a day. It was just heartbreaking.
Ronald's gambling addiction kicked in 2004, was back and big time, staring him in the face at every gas station near their home in Bonne Terre.
It's there on every corner. I don't know, it's crazy.
In a matter of months recently, Ron slipped their entire savings into gas station machines.
It's like every hope and dream you have is just gone, and my trust is gone.
But what they can't understand, why the machines are allowed to exist at all.
It's plain illegal, man. It's horrible.
But whether they are in fact illegal is the subject of a debate heating up in Missouri, with many people waiting for the courts or the legislature to weigh in. Gaming machines in Illinois are legal, but across the river in the Show Me state, it all depends on who you ask.
The law is very clear in Missouri. They are illegal.
Mark Ellinger, an attorney for the Missouri Gaming Association, says only 13 casinos are legally allowed to operate what are called games of chance. And those casinos are heavily regulated and taxed.
If you go to a casino, anyone does, and they gamble in a casino, 20% of the revenue goes straight to education. Every time you walk in a casino has to pay $2. $1 goes to the local city and $1 goes to veterans.
Violators of Missouri's gambling laws face fines and jail time. But in recent years, games that look a lot like slot machines have appeared all over Missouri. Gaming machines like those in gas stations, Ellinger says, have zero oversight. A lawsuit filed against one of the operators even appears to show pictures of children playing.
And there's no restriction, there's no regulation. So they can pop up anywhere they want, and they can appeal to anybody they feel like appealing to.
Without having to contribute like casinos do, the profits, he says, pour in.
It's a stunning amount of money that's going into these folks' pockets.
Why are they proliferating then? Why are they just sort of being allowed to exist in our state?
I think the reason that you're seeing them everywhere is because there's so much money they're able to make off of these. They're willing to take the chance to do something that's clearly illegal because the payoff is so much money in the short term.
The Highway Patrol has investigated complaints of gaming machines, 239 complaints in 2022 and more than 240 so far this year, referring to prosecutors' possible charges in 190 cases in the last 2 years.
This is a situation where the local prosecutors really control the keys to the courthouse.
But only one known case has ever been prosecuted, infamously ending in the machines being smashed to bits. Why no one else has been prosecuted, Ellinger says, is thanks to significant political influence. One of the region's biggest operators, Torch Electronics, is headquartered at this home in Wildwood. The company has made campaign donations to various Missouri PACs to the tune of thousands of dollars, even donations to the governor himself.
I can't tell you if it's an actual factor. I can tell you that they're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on campaign contributions not to get some type of benefit off of it.
Have you been lobbied by Torch or by any of these operators?
No.
We took the question of influence straight to St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell, who says actual prosecutions on this would not be an easy windfall.
You see a different area of the law?
What we're saying is I don't think that I should have to take a guess
The legislature or the courts, he says, must step in.
I don't have a dog in this fight.
Unclear to him whether or not the games are legal.
It's really simple. We need clarity. And if we get clarity, we're going to follow the law.
Our machines are completely legal.
And that's because Torch Representative Greg Keller says their machines aren't gambling games at all. A component of their machines, he says, allows the player a way to know whether or not they will win on the next play. First Alert 4 hasn't been able to verify that, though. Our attorneys advised us not to give them a try, given the question about their legality. And the operator wasn't able to show us how they work in time for this story. Still, Keller emphasizes there is a difference.
That's really the rub here, is that our machines are neither games of skill nor games of chance.
Feels a lot like a slot machine. Is it actually a slot machine?
And all you can do is go back to the letter of the law.
A law, he says, that allows for their amusement devices. It's big money interests like the casinos, he says, that is targeting them.
The casinos have decided that our machines are cutting into their margins. And so they've gone ahead and they've got politicians in Jefferson City to start a whole bunch of bills. They're taking us to court. They're trying to get our completely legal games off the market for no other reason than they see it as a competitive disadvantage to themselves.
Has Torch found a legal loophole that they can exploit, or is that just entrepreneurship and capitalism?
I think it's entrepreneurship and capitalism. I mean, we have proprietary machines that are different from everyone else's machines on the market.
Just this month, a judge in Cole County dismissed Torch's lawsuit against the Highway Patrol that many had hoped would decide once and for all what these machines really are, leaving their very existence, some say, still in the gray.
It's point blank, it's gambling. It's clearly gambling. People are losing everything they have.
But it's a legal battle that makes little difference to Ronald and Vicky. He kept playing, feeding in hundreds of thousands.
I need my money back, so of course I'm going to win my money back.
And with no end in sight.
The state of Missouri is supposed to protect the citizens from places like that as well, and none of that being enforced. It's not right.
Missouri certainly isn't the only state dealing with this. A recent report by the American Gaming Association estimates that 40% of the country's gaming machines outside of casinos are illegal, resulting in a loss of nearly $13 billion in tax revenue, they say, nationwide. Now, we wanted to go straight to the top and ask about this, but Governor Mike Parson's office declined to comment. So for now, in Missouri, it is anyone's wager which way it will all come down, but we'll certainly continue to track it. I'm Lauren Traeger, First Alert 4 Investigates.
Scammers, hackers, even telemarketers are itching to get their hands on your personal information.
Yeah, and some people in the metro say they are shocked to learn their names, addresses, and other data is being sold for profit by a government agency.
And Chief Investigative Reporter Lauren Traeger tells us there really isn't much you can do about it.
The dreaded trip to the DMV. If you drive, you've got no choice. Take a ticket, give them what they ask for.
My birth certificate, passport, social security number.
Today I came in to DMV to get my driver's license.
But St. Louisans were recently shocked when we told them.
Do you know that the DMV actually sells your personal information to third parties?
No, I did not know they sell your information.
Their personal info could be for sale.
Frankly, it's a little frightening, a little off-putting.
Even on my recent trip to a license office, the worker didn't know.
Do you guys ever sell personal information?
No, they don't.
It never gets sold to third parties?
Never.
All of it could be for sale.
Oh, of course. Anything the DMV has about you is for sale.
Scott Graneman is a data expert and professor at Webster University.
Look at your driver's license and then imagine what you filled out. Imagine the things you filled out on the form that the DMV has. Now imagine that being made available to people. It's a lot of information.
And he says it's all perfectly legal under a federal law called the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, or DPPA. Passed in the 1990s after DMV information was used by a man to murder a Hollywood actress, the law actually prohibits states from selling driver data to just anyone, but it carved out exemptions for who can access it, courts and law enforcement agencies, for example, and also certain types of businesses like insurance companies and entities conducting market research, even private investigators.
The restrictions that are provided have a lot of loopholes in them. and a lot of opportunity for people to go ahead and acquire information about us that we might not be very comfortable with them acquiring.
So even though the law is supposed to restrict selling your data, News 4 Investigates has learned states very often do and are making millions of dollars in the meantime. We pulled the data from Missouri. In the last 5 years, the state made well more than $2 million from selling DMV records. It's less than other states. Texas made a reported $3 million in 2020 alone. Illinois almost $45 million in 2022, and Florida reportedly raked in $77 million for driver data back in 2017.
So Missouri is somewhat of a drop in the bucket compared to Florida, but there's still selling going on of information.
Graneman says it's often not clear where the data's going. He reviewed the list of the entities to which Missouri sold in 2022, and some of them raise more questions.
What's to stop me from just creating, Lauren Traeger Marketing LLC and going and buying all of this data?
There's nothing stopping somebody from creating a marketing company and then getting this data at all.
And nothing, he says, stops them from turning around and selling the data to someone else, especially now when it's easier than ever.
Which is why we have the problem of our data sloshing around all over computer systems all over the United States.
Graneman has long said federal laws need to be passed to protect Americans' data overall.
You don't own your data. So if somebody else has data about you, they own that data, not you.
So we took concerns about the DMV loophole straight to Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley.
The idea that the government then could perhaps take that information and sell it, make it available to third parties, I just think that's appalling.
He tells News 4 Investigates he would consider legislation to tighten the exemptions to the DPPA.
The information you have to give the state to get a license, to get a vehicle, and then have it be turned over to a third party or sold to them, that is wrong, wrong, wrong.
Worst of all, drivers we talked to say they had no idea.
If they're selling it, that seems pretty, irresponsible.
It takes Title IV to come out to sit there and tell us this, but people need to pay attention about their identity.
And want to opt out? It's not an option.
What can we do about it to stop them from doing it? The State Department of Revenue. The State Department of Revenue. Remember that, St. Louis, Missouri. Make sure that we stay on top of that.
Again, remember, this is all allowed under federal law, but states can make their own laws more restrictive. Wyoming and Arkansas have, for example. We'll keep checking with lawmakers here, and for now, just know that your data might be sold. For News 4 Investigates, I'm Lauren Traeger.
There's often been a great debate what to do with St. Louis's vacant buildings. Tonight, News 4 Investigates talks to one developer who says the biggest barrier to progress is the city itself. Chief Investigative Reporter Lauren Traeger went to find out why.
From the outside, this building near Dogtown looks kind of cool. But there's no hot cups of coffee here. Inside, it's a hot mess.
People have been inhabiting it at different times.
We got a tour with the owner's attorney, Charles Skip DeFore.
Here's probably where you don't want to excavate.
From the black mold in the basement to huge holes in the exterior, the inside, DeFore says, is absolutely unsalvageable.
The stairs were already in poor shape.
And around back might look even worse.
There's holes in the roof. The exterior stairs have all fallen. Windows knocked out.
From here, it's hard to see its preservation potential.
It doesn't look like a building from the World's Fair, for example.
No.
And multiple agencies and experts have said the only option is to tear it down.
It's the building that is structurally unsound.
But their permit applications to demolish denied.
Bottom line, the city has condemned this building, but won't let you tear it down.
That's correct.
I've come to the conclusion it's been a political football.
The property's owner, Pete Katsinas.
The city's a roadblock, and there's really no reason.
There's been plenty of new development in this neighborhood. A multi-story modern apartment complex with a grocery store and gym sit right across the street. Katsinas wants to level the building and put in a small parking lot to accommodate new business. So maybe that's the problem. After all, as the song goes, no one wants to pave paradise.
It's a parasite. It's not a paradise.
But it's not just that. The plans for a parking lot have been previously approved by one agency in the city. The city's building division has condemned the building not once, but twice. The holdup, DeFore says, is a city agency you might not have heard of before called the Cultural Resources Office. They've got the say for buildings in preservation review districts, which make up about 2/3 of the entire city.
It's simply pathetic that we can't get this project approved and developed.
We now take you to George Edick's Club Imperial.
Denials of demo permits have drawn much controversy. In 2018, it was Club Imperial, a venue that hosted Tina Turner. In more recent years, it's the boarded up homes near Barnes at 64 and Kings Highway. A developer has wanted to tear them down, but that's been denied. And just last month, a permit was denied to a developer wanting to put an apartment building in Tower Grove South. News 4 Investigates dug into the data. Overall, the number of demo permits issued by the city has declined in recent years from 942 in 2019 to 239 this year.
St. Louis's reputation is well deserved as a brick city. I mean, part of the city's identity is its historic buildings.
Meg Lostow is director of the Cultural Resources Office.
For a developer or someone who might argue it's the Cultural Resources Office, they're just a closed door, what would you say to them?
We are a wide open door.
She says they are tightly guided by the city's own ordinances and regulations about what can come down. And she says for good reason.
These neighborhoods are just exceptionally beautiful. There's a warmth to them. There's a personality to them that you just don't find in newer neighborhoods.
As for the, quote, coffee house.
You don't particularly like the idea of a parking lot, though.
Parking lots are generally not great for commercial corridors, especially for dense commercial corridors, small scale. So that was definitely a concern of ours in doing the evaluation of this demolition application.
They like the front facade, even though it's only been that way since 2007, shortly before the last business in it failed.
The loss of that wall would really break and damage the general feel and character of that commercial corridor.
You believe there could be a use for the building as it is?
I think it could be renovated, yes.
She says she's going to continue talking with the property owner.
It just needs to be removed.
Though they believe at this coffee house, it's only the problems percolating.
Now, would I be upset if it was struck by lightning? No, but we're not going to be the one to light the match.
So essentially, DeFore says they are now back at square one, having to apply again through all of the city agencies to get the parking lot reapproved since that was expired. Now, you might be asking, how did this building get here then? What was across the street before it became this big apartment complex? Well, it was just a level vacant lot, so the Cultural Resources Office had no say in it. Have something you want me to investigate? You can email me at investigates@kmov.com. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4 Investigates.
First Alert 4 investigates an eviction crisis crippling people around the metro. There is concern that thousands could end up homeless in what is being called a widespread money grab scheme. Chief Investigative Reporter Lauren Traeger breaks down what you need to do to avoid becoming a victim.
A home. It's where disabled veteran Marshall Franklin keeps mementos.
That was back in 1986, when I still had hair.
And lives a quiet life. But he only recently moved into this house in Florissant. Before that, he rented an $800 a month unit here at Norwood Redfield Apartments. It seemed nice enough, he says, until February 2023.
I had an unexpected bill come up. I called my landlord up and let her know that I'd be running late on my rent payment.
But instead of giving him some grace, within a few weeks, an attorney representing the apartment filed an eviction lawsuit against him, demanding $968 and the apartment back. Charities providing help to local vets helped him make two payments, one on March 1st for $1,000, the other on March 6th for $1,061.
He should have been all caught up, but instead the eviction continued.
Then I got a phone call from the lawyer saying they needed an additional $1,000 for other fees that need to be paid as well. And that just kind of pushed me over the edge.
Suffering from PTSD, it nearly did.
I became very suicidal and I almost killed myself.
All over an eviction he says that never should have happened.
I was being evicted for paying my rent.
I think they have certainly violated several state and federal laws.
Sean Broker, an attorney for Thompson Coburn, took Marshall's case pro bono after being referred by veteran group the Kaufman Fund. In a counter lawsuit, Broker's now accusing the complex's management company and the law firm representing it of an unfair and unconscionable debt collection practice, amounting, he says, to an illegal scheme to take money from people.
I think he's looking to make more money in these unjustified and excessive attorney's fees. That's what it comes down to.
Here's the issue, he says. As soon as Marshall got behind, the payment portal that he'd previously used to make his payments was shut off and late fees piled up. Instead, he was told to submit his checks directly to the law firm of Ranker, Hamilton, and Fenley. He did that, but the payments never showed up on his ledger or billing statement.
Instead, Broker's suit alleges Franklin's payments went into the law firm trust account. The firm, the suit says, relies on these, quote, misleading ledgers to help them engage in unfair, unconscionable, and abusive negotiation tactics to leverage unjustified and excessive monetary awards. In response, the complex and the law firm have denied the allegations, arguing that under Marshall's lease, attorney's fees and court costs would be considered additional rent. Neither, though, agreed to respond to our inquiries on camera.
You ever seen anything or heard of anything quite like this happening?
No, I have never seen anything like this. You know, when this came in, we thought this was a simple landlord-tenant dispute, and it's blown up to be way more than that at this time.
And do you think there may be a potential pattern of doing this with others?
It appears that way, yes.
The suit outlines a number of tenants sued for smaller dollar amounts who settled just a few weeks later for amounts much higher. In fact, First Alert 4 Investigates reviewed dozens of cases and watched off camera on a recent court day as attorneys for apartment complexes pulled tenants into side rooms and to benches to make negotiations on payments. Some tenants telling us, without representation of their own, they felt pressured to sign documents with dollar amounts they just didn't understand.
I mean, to this day, do you guys understand what exactly you paid for?
I don't know exactly what we paid for. I feel like we overpaid for whatever we paid for.
Lormisha Staten and her boyfriend lived in Norwood Apartments.
You made payments directly to Ranker's law firm?
Yes. We went through them with everything. It was through them.
On January 30th, 2023, Randall Ranker filed a lawsuit against Staten for $968 in back rent. Less than a month later, on February 28th, Staten signed a consent judgment agreeing to pay more than $3,500. Including $500 in attorney's fees.
They was basically taking my money.
They got behind again, and by October, got evicted, even now without a permanent place to live.
So you made payments directly to the law firm?
Yes.
But for a certain period of time, they didn't turn them over?
Correct.
Terrence Green was sued for eviction too, even though he had proof he made all of his payments, and on time too.
I never stopped paying. I constantly paid my rent.
His checks clearly deposited by Ranker's firm, but not reflected on his ledger.
You basically still charge me court costs and attorney fees by coming to court just to show you that I paid all my rent. I think that was unfair.
He kept talking with management, and after they located his payments in the law firm's possession,
this window busted out.
He's back in his Norwood unit with its broken patio door, evidence of mold, and no heat, because an eviction lawsuit on his record has made it hard to find somewhere else to live.
I feel robbed and bamboozled.
It's heartbreaking and it's angering.
Ask Al Johnson at Covenant Legal Services, which provides low-cost or free legal services to tenants, what he thinks about evictions generally in the region.
Horrific would be the term I'd use. And it's gotten worse.
All of it, he says, a real concern for the people who can least afford it.
We're seeing both exaggerated amounts in petitions and exaggerated amounts in consent judgments.
Though not connected to Marshall Franklin's lawsuit, he says he's read it.
And if the allegations in that lawsuit are accurate and can be proven in court, I think the law firm and the attorney that's on the other end of that lawsuit has a huge problem.
We wanted to ask Randall Ranker for his side. A few weeks back, we caught up with him outside court. Though he agreed then to an on-camera interview, he didn't answer our repeated emails and calls to set it up. Instead, his attorney wrote a statement to us saying, quote, "My client is not in a position to comment or give an interview on active, pending, and ongoing litigation."
I couldn't understand why he was wanting to get more money out of me when I did everything I was supposed to do.
Marshall says it's worrisome,
Trying to get all this money from other people just so he could enrich himself.
as he wants someone to step in to protect others.
Definitely stop it, yes, because think of all the other people they're going to hurt.
We have also reached out to the management company for that apartment in question. They have not yet responded. That lawsuit alleging numerous law violations is still pending, but Ranker is not the only lawyer in town filing lots of eviction cases. You might be surprised to find out just how many evictions are being filed every single week in the region. And it's a perfect storm with rents skyrocketing and low-income housing options disappearing, experts say. So we're going to be digging into exactly what is causing what experts are calling an eviction crisis and what they say needs to happen to stop it. That's all coming up tomorrow on First Alert 4 at 6:30. I'm Lauren Traeger. First Alert 4 investigates.
Is the city of St. Louis sitting on a multi-million-dollar gold mine? Some real estate experts think so. Now News 4 Investigates is getting an exclusive look inside the city jail that has sat closed for a year. Chief investigative reporter Lauren Traeger reveals the pictures and video you'll only see on News 4.
The cells, the block, solitary confinement, even the cafeteria and the gym. A St. Louis jail closed by controversy, but the general public hasn't seen inside in half a decade.
It was absolutely disgusting.
Activists and some leaders had long called for the closure of the medium security institution known as the workhouse, citing bad conditions, though not all agreed then and still now.
This current mayor made a mistake when she zeroed out the budget. Even if you were closing the workhouse, you still own the property. You have to keep it up. But I think that was a mistake.
With some critical that closing the workhouse strained the higher security criminal justice center. Media weren't allowed on a tour of the workhouse with leaders like Mayor Tashara Jones just before she made good on a campaign promise in 2021 to empty it.
Something that I've been calling for since 2016. And now that I have the opportunity to do it.
The last detainee here left in May of 2022. Ever since, it's sat empty, grass growing high, debris left outside. Home to a different jailbird now.
It looks like something that needs a bulldozer, probably.
What's to become of MSI is of interest to Hal Hanstein, owner of Cardinal Commercial Real Estate. He says Hall Street's a perfect locale for heavy industrial use.
It's a prime place for trucking companies to put a base of operations.
So at our request, he did an assessment and ran the comps.
So if you do the math, this is about 30 acres. It's a little over $3 million.
For the right buyer, would this piece of property sell?
Oh, yes. Yeah, without a doubt. If someone in the trucking industry knew it was available, I'm sure it'd be gobbled up.
But he was surprised by something we told him. The city's making significant repairs inside.
Why maintain something if you're going to tear it down? Just call in the dozer.
In January, a pipe burst, causing a flood. And in the many weeks since, the chains have been off the door. Wide open, we went inside.
So we are actually inside the old MSI building right now.
Remnants of the flood can be seen, but also work being done. Blueprints taped to the wall, repairs to the electrical, even a new boiler. A source telling News 4 the work may total in the millions. After asking for months, a spokesperson told News 4 Tuesday costs are estimated at about $2 million for water damage and asbestos remediation, saying they expect additional costs as well. The spokesperson had previously said they are in conversation with the building's insurance company, saying, quote, "The city is doing the minimum restoration on the building as we work with the community to reimagine the use for the MSI campus."
Taxpayers need to know what taxpayer money is being spent on.
Benjamin Singer, CEO of good government group Show Me Integrity, says the city needs to decide, sell it and get cash or use it for something else.
We need to make sure that we're maintaining that and protecting the value that taxpayers own. Otherwise, we're being bad stewards of taxpayer dollars.
One possible solution, overflow parking for the city's tow lot, just a little down the road.
The facility formerly known as the workhouse stands empty.
In Tuesday's State of the City speech, the mayor just announced you'll get a say in what should happen to the old jail.
This process will engage the community, particularly people who've had a direct experience with the workhouse, to envision what the future of the site should be.
And I think this story is really important that KMOV is covering this, because this is an opportunity of how you want this property to be used.
A place once housing the accused, now the home of untapped future potential.
So you will have a voice. Do you want to weigh in on what to do with the old jail? The city now has set up a website asking for public comment. We've got a link to that at our website and the KMOV News app. Now, real estate experts also say it is possible it could be sold to a private group precisely to be used again as a jail. So a lot more to come in this conversation, and we'll, of course, keep following it. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4 Investigates.